Look at that hat.
You love to see it. 6-0, baby. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever been more excited for a dome in my life than this one.
Worth it.
I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's for you,
Yeah.
Sark. Well, we welcome you to your Week 6 recap here on Wilk and Wiss, breaking down all the Utah athletes in the National Football League. A lot of guys this week, Cole. By the way, I'm Tanner Wilkinson. He's Cole Wissinger. Guys coming back from injury this week that we're going to talk a little bit about. Some guys just getting more reps because of maybe some other injuries that are going on.
Guys making impact on Monday night, coming back from weeks of injury.
Are any of the officials from Utah? Maybe we need to get that.
They had the most screen time. They had the most stats.
Yeah. This is interesting. I did a high school game earlier this year, Juab versus Grantsville, and there were 200 yards of penalties in the first half. The worst I've ever seen in a football game. Now it's high school.
Gross.
Guys are learning. And in that game, it was very much on the kids. Like, it was obvious. It was blatant. We were seeing every time, oh, they're going to throw it. Yep. You go back and listen to that broadcast. Like, somehow this, it was very obvious. Tonight.
Also, anyway. We got a return of the tuck rule that we.
Oh boy, yeah, that oof.
I don't know about that. You want to just start with Monday night? Sometimes we do when it's interesting.
We do,
and one of our best Utah guys. Sealed it at the end.
Well, so let's just say that
as Tanner live updates the stats as I watch the Google Doc.
I was looking to see because I thought Lecky Fotu was back for the Jets tonight, and he did play, but he didn't record any stats. So I missed the Taron Johnson interception when I was updating this simply because I was trying to find Lecky Fotu's numbers, but there weren't any, even though I saw him a bunch out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bills beat the Jets 23-20. Dalton Kincaid, probably his best game of the year so far. 6 catches, 51 yards. Really good first half, too. Yeah. Taron Johnson, welcome back from the forearm injury. 8 tackles, a pass deflection, and the game-sealing interception. Cole Bishop.
Mike Williams is never going to get another target as long as Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback and as long as he lives.
Maybe if he goes on a darkness retreat with them.
That's what it's going to take.
That's what it's going to take at this point. Woof. By the way, my dad, big shout out to my dad after this game. He went 14-1 this week in his pick'em. 14-1. And I did not do, my afternoon was a disaster. Picked Thursday night correct, missed the London game. I think I went perfect in the morning stretch and did not get a single one right in the afternoon. Like it was an interesting day on Sunday.
I was watching you live update our Google Doc. You must not have been watching me live update the record because there were actually 14 total games. So it's 13-1 is I'm sure what he went. I know that because Tanner, I went 13-1.
You did. What was the one game you got wrong? His was Denver.
The one game I got wrong, the most bonkers game of the whole stinking day, where New Orleans only 27 points come in the second quarter and they're up, and then just all heck breaks loose throughout the rest of it. I can handle like messing up the way that game went. I'm okay with that being the one. But yeah, 13 other games. And you did. You were right. Got the whole morning slate and then a goofy afternoon.
I guess I did get Atlanta right, and everyone got Atlanta right in the afternoon. But yeah, I picked Denver, I picked Vegas, and I picked Dallas. Yeah. Oof.
Let's get into them game by game. So you hit Monday, then let's go wind all the way back to Thursday for the recap, and it's San Francisco over Seattle, 36-24. Fred Warner. 11 tackles, a pass breakup, added in the forced fumble as well. It got recovered by the offense, so it wasn't a fumble lost, but Fred was in there. And then Mitch Wishnowsky, 4 punts, 173 net yards, and 3 downed inside the 20.
Yeah, Mitch didn't have to kick this week. Fred, and let's mention Fred was at the BYU game on Saturday, which was really cool to see. Fred was rocking. I think it was this, but with the black. This same style with the black. Yeah, Puka there too. Steve Young there, Gabe Reed. You had a lot of BYU NFL alum in the house.
It was a good game to be there at.
Sure was. Sure was. Yeah, good win for the Niners. Kind of these, yeah, I don't know. Seattle's got to figure some stuff out. 3 in a row.
And it's
Uh,
up and down. Like they seem
yeah,
like they're in it some of those games and then just a mess at other times. They were, and this game was closer than 36-24 even
yeah.
lends you to believe. And yet that's what happened to Detroit. And they just find themselves in these games. Mike McDonald's defense just doesn't have the horses right now to play the way that he wants them to get out there at.
By the way, our guest last week, the temp, he traveled with me on Thursday. His team loses. Traveled with me again on Friday to cover a high school game. His college team loses.
Oh,
A couple of rough nights for the temp. Anyway.
Temp put up a solid effort in the pick'em though. He went 9-5 also. So
Okay.
you and the Temp both 9-5, but that's a game off the wins total of Hable. So Hable's still our leader in
Right.
the clubhouse.
Well, let's go back to London. Chicago beats the Jaguars 35-16. Jalen Johnson, two tackles and a pass deflection. Noah Sewell got in for a tackle, and Devin Lloyd, that not very good Jaguar defense, 9 tackles in a TFL. Does Doug Peterson come back from London where they're staying over there this week? That's the question everyone's asking.
I mean, and let's look at who they play. If they ruin this, if they botch it against the Patriots, and it's Drake May, and he certainly could take advantage of that defense. Yeah, I don't know about that, Doug. We've said it before a couple times. Sometimes when you're a linebacker and you have these high tackle numbers, it's actually an indication of a bad defense around you. And so Devin Lloyd, 9 tackles, shoe fits. Arizona falls to Green Bay 34-13. We might be in our Jordan Love wins MVP of the week every single week era on this podcast. 22 of 32, 258, 4 tutties, and 1 interception, as he'll just do for you sometimes. Chris Brooks gets in the game, 4 carries, 21 yards. Zane Anderson had a tackle, and then Karis Tonga over on the Cardinals side, 5 tackles. 5 tackles for a nose tackle.
Which that's
Wow.
not the best indication either on a defense. Yeah, Arizona actually got back and made this 24-13 at one point, and then 3 fumbles after that just took any chance out of it. It was all Jordan Love in the first half, and I lose the bet and literally ate my 8 tortillas tonight from 6:15 to 8:15 Mountain, all in quesadilla form. Had some good salsa with it, had some good avocado lime dressing, not quite Cafe Rio level, but had some crema. But my stomach is sitting like a rock. I feel like Michael Scott after he ate all the fettuccine Alfredo for the
Carbo load.
fun run. Whew, that is a lot of fiber.
This might be your flu game after another 10 minutes of recapping games. This might be our shortest podcast on record. If that's the way. I didn't realize you paid that off.
Because and the problem, this won't feel, I'll wish I had the flu with how this is going to be sitting for a few days. Took Miralax right after. I mean, the moment I was done with that final tortilla, took my wife's milk frother, whipped up some Miralax in a 8-ounce cup and just chugged it. Wash that down with some Gatorade. We'll see. We'll see how tomorrow goes.
Yeah. We'll get the update. You might still be feeling it on the Thursday pod.
Oh, I'm never making a bet with the Cardinals again. That at least involves food.
Start riding the BYU train.
Well, see, when he and I have made bets in the past, it's been BYU Wisconsin, and I have profited off of that. So why I agreed to a food bet is beyond me. It should have been monetary. I can get over a monetary loss. I don't know how my stomach's going to forgive me for this one. At least I made the quesadillas taste good. I will say that.
Yeah.
Did some chicken, some shrimp, little beef, mixed it up.
Also, let's point out, we're at that point in our adult lives now. There comes a point where you pass the Rubicon, probably somewhere in your mid-20s, right after you graduate college and get a real job, where those bets, you would rather them be money than just destroying your gut. You know, when we were younger men, it was very easy for me to say, yeah, I'll just drink a ton of prune juice. I don't want to spend $1 though. Not anymore, man.
Yeah, now that we're full-time employees at places and paying mortgages and
have old man guts.
That on top of it, yeah. I am getting to the point now where if it involves food, I'm not taking a bet for my brothers. Lost a corn challenge a few years, a bet involving corn where you could only eat corn you have to fast for 24 hours and then only eat corn for 24 hours. Now, that does the
Ugh.
opposite of what these tortillas are about to do to me. So no one needed to know this on our recap, but
I love it.
probably the most upset I've been after a Cardinal loss in a minute, given
This is what I missed out on,
physical
not having brothers.
ramifications.
This is fun.
This is why I'm afraid to go with one of them on a cruise, because that's all he wants to do is make dumb bets over shuffleboard and, whatever.
Those are the days.
Anyway, Indy beats Tennessee 20-17. Julian Blackmon, 3 tackles, a pass deflection, and a big pick. I mean, it's not that big a deal to pick Will Levis off, but the timing of that pick was really big in this particular game. Matt Gay goes 2 for 2 on field goals, both were pretty short ones, and then 2 for 2 on extra points.
Good to see Matt Gay back to perfection. Houston beats New England big in the first Drake May game. Could have gone worse, honestly, for Drake May, but on the Utah side of things, so 41-21 final score. Dalton Schultz, 4 receptions, 27 yards. That's kind of what he's been doing recently. And then Shione Takitaki, 1 tackle.
Off the pup. First game back for Sione. So that number is going to go up. He's going to get more snaps. He's going to have at least 1 double-digit game by the end of the season.
Right.
Again, indication of how bad the Patriots are as well. So, again, wonky game. Tampa Bay beats New Orleans 51-27. Baker Mayfield threw 3 picks, and Tampa still put 51 up on the board. Jamal Williams finishes with just 2 carries for 7 yards. Rashid Shaheed, just 1 catch for 11 yards, 2 punt returns, 56 yards, and a big touchdown at the time.
Now, that was their first score? Like, that's how they got onto the scoreboard?
Well, I think they had a field goal. They did have a field goal.
First
touchdown, yes. Bad news, Rashid's got a knee injury. They're describing it as serious in the terms of nothing's torn, but it's something that's going to cause him potentially to go on IR, which stinks because the guy was having a phenomenal year. Obviously, Derek Carr was kind of Derek Carr's security blanket. Spencer Rattler only threw to him a couple times in the game.
If he misses out on the rest of the Rattler regime, that's not as big of a loss as it could have been.
And Olave
when you're timing your injuries.
How do you not throw to him when Olave goes down? That's what I thought was so odd. Anyway, New Orleans is in trouble. No question about it. They need Taysom Hill back too.
To play quarterback, obviously.
I mean, maybe not on every down, but they need him in those short, literally, it's the short yard situations. Yeah. He's so good at it.
Game of the week lived up to the billing. Baltimore 30, Washington 23, KVN 2 tackles, Marcus Williams 2 tackles, and then Bobby Wagner over on the Washington side of things. Their defense needs some help right now. 12 tackles and a QB hit. Baltimore really did. I said it. This is one of the takes I'll stand by. Baltimore won this game because they were able to just punish a Washington team that likes to live in your nickel personnel, and they just didn't have an answer for Baltimore coming right down their throat. Stan Quinn.
Yeah, you can't play nickel all game against the likes of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. You just can't do it. This is the future of the NFL, though. I mean, I kind of hinted at this on Thursday. The Lamar Jacksons versus Jaden Daniels, going to be seeing a lot more of these kind of matchups, folks, which is awesome, in my opinion. Chargers get the win over the Broncos despite a Jim Harbaugh irregular heartbeat, essentially, is what he had. Yeah. It's the 3rd time he's had one. Last time he said it was during a game in 2012. He says he's 2-0 with whatever the official... I've already forgotten the official medical term because I'm the furthest thing from a doctor, and I'm not going to pretend to be one like everyone else in this country.
Well, this is some of the downfall of Twitter too, because it can be funny in the moment, but you got to pick and choose your battles here. And so Jim Harbaugh comes back. People were talking about him coming back with a different pair of pants. I didn't even look at the replays or whatever, so I don't know if that happened. But I saw tweets about that, and turns out the man had an actual problem.
A medical
John
issue.
Harbaugh got pulled down off the stage as he was given his post-game presser to talk about, like, hey, your brother needed to call you.
Yeah. Glad he's okay. He says he's 2-0 with these kind of things happening. So that's a very Harbaugh comment. Simi Fehoko, the leading receiver for the Chargers, only 2 catches, but 44 yards. So former Brighton Bengal making a big play there. Alohi Gilman, 10 tackles, a sack, and a pass deflection. Devon Vele returned from injury for the Broncos, 4 catches, 78 yards for him. He led the Broncos in receiving. Cody Barton, 8 tackles, and Jonah Ellis, 2 tackles and a pass deflection. I'm sure it's happened at some point in the history of the NFL, but it's definitely not in the history of this podcast, which boohoo, 2 years, whoop-de-doo. But 2 guys with Utah connections, both leading their teams in receiving. That's kind of cool.
And preseason, if you were looking down the schedule to predict where it was going to happen, it wasn't going to be Chargers Broncos, especially with these two fellas.
No. Man, what game would it probably would be the Rams playing, but they don't play Buffalo this year, do they?
Do they
No, they do. They do play the Bills.
Uh-huh.
So that would
do they get New Orleans? Because that's also a possibility. Like Rashid Shaheed, probably a coin flip, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, huh? Very, very interesting. That's such a niche for this specific show. Like no one else on planet
But that's
Earth.
something we could figure out. And no one else is. Yeah.
Yes. No one else in the world cares that the 2 guys are Utah connection guys, but I thought it was cool.
Pittsburgh gets a big and much needed win, 32-13 over Las Vegas. Jaylen Warren had 3 receptions for 11 yards, still not really being worked into the run game that much. Miles Kilbrew had 1 tackle, and also his special teams had a punt block. Normally it's Miles Kilbrew himself that gets that punt block, but he was the first to celebrate with the guys that did, and he's the special teams captain. So I will also throw that in, given that I watched that game.
I mean, yeah, Pittsburgh looked great. Vegas looked like they just don't know what they're doing. You mentioned it. I can't remember if it was this show or last Monday that the personnel does not match what Antonio Pierce wants to do. Maybe outside of Brock Bowers, which Brock Bowers has been the one bright spot for this Raider team that's been consistent in every game. So, yeah, going to be interesting to follow that. What I thought has a chance to be the game of the week was not even close. And on top of this, we lose one of the best players in football to a nasty injury. Thoughts and prayers with Aiden Hutchinson, man. I love that guy. Like he embodies what this Lion, he embodies his head coach, the city. He's from Michigan. Just as devastating of an injury as I can remember in terms of a team in contention. Look, and what they
their
mean
emotional captain, production on the field, everything. And again, preseason, you're looking at these two teams and you're like, okay, Aiden Hutchinson on one side and Micah Parsons on the other. It's a whole Big Ten battle back and forth, and both of them not in the game by the time we end. It's rough.
That's tough. Detroit wins, and the worst loss in the history of AT&T. In fact, I think it's the worst home loss in Jerry Jones's tenure as the owner.
Going back to 89.
47-9. Sione Vaki had a carry for 5 yards. Tim Patrick with his best game as a Lion, 3 catches, 68 yards. But yeah, Jared Goff looked phenomenal again. The Lions offense did what they did. And then the defense, again, Cole, I know he's not a Utah guy, but man, I just love Aiden Hutchinson. And like Detroit's kind of been a team I've rooted for off to the side. I mean, they had Jamal Williams for a few years, and then I just came to love Dan Campbell and just what the city embodies, and just this rise of a team that's been a nobody my whole life.
And it's not like we're bandwagoning the Patriots here. It's fun to root for a team that's had almost 100 years of misery.
I mean, and yeah, Aiden Hutchinson just embodies that. And as a football fan, it makes me sad. Makes me really sad that he's not going to be out there for the rest of the year. Good news, it was a clean break. He's going to be fine by the start of next season. But man, that's a tough break for Detroit. People trying to talk J.J. Watt out of retirement, by the way.
Yeah, I was watching some of that. The final Utah connection here, unfortunately, Penei Sewell doesn't get any receptions or targets, but everyone else on the offensive line was, right?
Yes.
They poured it on.
Yes. Yeah, Penei Sewell could be a candidate for player of the week, given. Yeah.
Moving on. Atlanta, 38 over Carolina, 20. Tyler Allgeier, 18 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Just blowing up on social media. All of his runs are hard. All of his impacts are great. Caden Ellis, 4 tackles, a pass breakup. Clark Phillips had 3 tackles, tackle for loss, pass breakup, and a big pick at the end of the game, and did not get the pick 6. Coulda, if you wanted to. And honestly, when you're up by that much, go ahead and get in the end zone and celebrate, man. Like, you're not doing your team that big of a favor by giving the Panthers more time after going up 20-something instead of just being able to knee it up 18.
Oh, BYU did that against Arizona. Like, Arizona was still playing. You're still playing. That's my whole thought. Like, Like if it's a close game and you just need to go down and kneel it and not risk fumbling that, then
Yeah.
I get that. But no, man, football's meant to have make football fun again. Like sports are meant to be fun. So
And then Atlanta didn't just take knees, like they were running plays after he had that pick six. So it's not like the
yeah,
coaches were telling everyone on the defense, hey, if we get this, try to stay out of the end zone. No, you're still going. You're still
yeah.
playing. Also, of note, Brady Christensen took some snaps at center in this game for the Carolina
I
Panthers.
miss that.
He's been versatile all over the place, and because you mentioned some injuries opening up
Wow.
some doors, yeah, Brady Christensen's moved all the way inside and was snapping the ball
I mean, he was
to
a
Andy
left
Dalton.
tackle at BYU,
Yeah.
drafted primarily to play left guard. Wow. So he's really made that whole shit. Wow. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. Sunday night, boring Sunday night. Cole, I'm going to be honest with you. I love Joe Burrow. I didn't watch a second of this game.
Ugh,
Got caught up on Agatha
didn't
all
miss
along
much.
instead.
Yeah, worth it.
Cincinnati 17, New York Giants 7. Zach Moss, 6 carries, 13 yards, and a lost fumble. Jalen Davis had a tackle. Ryan Rico was honestly the star of this game if you're a Utah person watching this. 6 punts, 278 yards, 4 of them down inside the 20 and a long of 57. I mean, the fact that Joe Burrow had a 47-yard touchdown run and looked like Peyton Manning running the football.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen a guy run like that since Peyton's last year in Indy when they were playing. I remember they were in the Oakland Coliseum playing the Raiders, and a first down won the game. And they did a fake bootleg with Peyton. And because it was Peyton Manning, it
Made
fooled
for a good
everyone
fake.
so bad that he had all this room. Anyway, the fact that the
Joe Burrow
Giants
hit
couldn't get to that
19
was
miles an hour according to those next gen stats. I was keeping an eye on this whole game because my dynasty football, fantasy football matchup relied on Wandale Robinson being able to get volume at least because there's nothing else. Like he had a shot at it and the Giants were driving late. And if they'd gotten a touchdown to Wandale, I would have gotten there, but it ends up being a turnover. And then Cincinnati just salts it away. And then it was the 13th of October yesterday. So I just turned on a Friday the 13th movie and
so
went to sleep.
one might say you're not superstitious, but a little stitious.
There you go.
One might say. Yeah, that's interesting. Joe Burrow, man, just a weird season in Cincinnati. Weird season in New York. I mean, there's weeks. I mean, they look great against Seattle. They've had weeks where they've looked really good, and then Daniel Jones going to Daniel Jones. I mean, just kind of a weird vibe and with the Giants right now.
And where are you at on Daboll? Because this is going to be a disaster, and they're going to need a new quarterback. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, in a draft where there aren't a lot of big name or highly touted guys to choose from. So does the regime, and the Giants are old school like the Steelers, right? They would rather
yes.
keep their guys. They're not normally quick to pull the plug. And do we give Daboll another chance with another quarterback, or do you just
I
go
think
for the
so.
hot hand, go for the Steve Sarkisian or whoever the big hire is going to be? Liam Cohen, who puts up 57 for the Buccaneers early in the season. We thought it could have been Clint Kubiak. I think he's still got some juice too. You know,
No, I'd stick with Dayball with a different quarterback. He's proven enough as a leader and like a leader of men that I think you just need to give him the right fire your GM after the season.
yeah,
Give Dayball a competent GM and some competent management, and I think this is a different story given what he did year one.
I like it.
So, well, Cole, let's get to our MVPs of the weeks since we forgot last week's episode and had to do it
Gosh,
during our preview. We're
what
not
else do
going
we
to
do
do
on
that
this
this week.
show other than give away an MVP of the week? Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, Fred Warner's in it every week.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jordan Love is going to be in it every week. I'm not giving it to Jordan simply because my stomach's going to hate him for the next 3 days.
Spite.
And he's going to win it at some other point. I thought Julian Blackmon was really good this week. There's like a lot of names we could throw out there this week. Even Tim Patrick, part of that with Penny Sewell in Detroit. Tyler Allgeier, man, like would be an easy week to give it to Tyler Allgeier. Taron Johnson, man, first game back from injury, game-winning pick. Was very evident that they missed him tonight because he played really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to give it to the former Wildcat. When we had his old teammate Jared Sheese on the show last year, what did he say about Jay Hill? Jay would show the entire defense just Taron Johnson clips and highlights. This is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. Sean McDermott's going to be doing that this week in
Teach
practice.
tape.
Yes.
Love it.
So my MVP is Taron Johnson.
Yeah, you were getting down there. It's the last couple names that you mentioned that I was down to. Is either going to be Taron Johnson or I'm going to go Tyler Allgeier. It's a big win. Yeah, it's against the Panthers, whatever. But all the fantasy guys that were angry to see Tyler Allgeier because they just want Bijan Robinson to touch the ball 30 times so that they can get their 20 fantasy points and, make a close fantasy matchup or whatever. They don't know ball. Tyler Allgeier is a great change of pace guy. Bijan still had a couple speed outs to the corner. He got his touches.
Yeah, Bijan still had almost 100 yards rushing and 2 touch. Because I own Bijan in several leagues, and he was great for me this week. This is the best week Bijan's looked, and the fact that Allgeier, all the better. You threw well to Drake London and Kyle Pitt. Everyone we've talked about that needed to be good in fantasy for the Atlanta Falcons has been good these last 2 weeks.
Right.
It's been kind of refreshing, honestly, as a guy who's owned all of these players at some point or another.
And all while it's happening, we still get Tyler Allgeier highlight reel kind of runs up the middle. Yeah, you're right. Jordan Love, he's going to be in the conversation. It was a huge first half to go up big, but I'm going to go Tyler Allgeier.
I like it. Working on a guest for Thursday. Was going to be my brother out in DC. We were going to talk about just the vibe in DC right now with the Commanders, even though he's a Colts fan. We're going to talk a little gambling as well. He's become a real man of the parlay, if you will. However, he's got a really bad canker and can barely talk. Folks, cankers suck. Can we raise some awareness on how to get rid of cankers? Because I had one on the back of my throat 2 weeks ago and was awful. It was just a week ago, and it's not fun. Sometimes you can't eat, sometimes you can't talk. Screw cankers. Yeah. So we'll be working on getting a good guy. We got a couple backups that we can talk to this week and get on. So Cole, my friend, pleasure as always. I didn't really enjoy week 6 because I knew what was coming to my stomach later. I think that was part of it. But looking back on it, it was a great week for guys with Utah connections. I think our hardest week yet in naming an MVP, because we could have been 6 different guys, given some of these other weeks we have where maybe there's not as much production. And we're still waiting for some other guys to come back off injury. Looking at you, Puka. Can't wait for you to be back, man. So
coming up on Thursday, it's the Sean Payton revenge game. The man that brought Taysom Hill to national prominence gets to return to New Orleans with the Broncos and the Utah connections that they've had there. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah. If
Taysom, other good ones.
If Taysom goes, if Rashid Shaheed's able to go, which I don't think he will, going to be a lot of Utah connections in this game. A lot of Utah connections. So,
and you and I both cheer for teams that are going to be on primetime.
That's
Jets,
right.
The Steelers, Chargers, Cardinals.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to make an effort to get my buddy who's going to be at that Cardinals Charger game on Monday night. He's a Browns fan living in Arizona from Utah. You may or may not see Connor Henline on the program on Thursday. Well, he just got eliminated.
Plenty to talk about the Browns this year.
Yes, he just got eliminated from our Guillotine League last week, so I'm sure that will come up as well if we are able to get him on.
Right on.
Cole, my man, sleep good. We'll have this up and running on Tuesday, and then Thursday, another week 7 next week, which is just crazy. So appreciate you as always, my brother.
I'll see you.
This has been Wilkin Wiss, your bi-weekly breakdown of Utah athletes in the National Football League and you, the fan, in this big melting pot of football that we call the state of Utah.